Welcome back, everyone, to Campfire Conversations, where we guarantee transformation through our conversations. We share short leadership lessons from our own experience from the peaks and the valleys from being in the arena. Today, I'm joined by my friends, Brad and Ryan, and it's been a pleasure already getting to know you, Peter, around this campfire. Peter, thank you so much. And I know we talked about it backstage, but we have the same last name with two T's. What are the odds, my man? Have you ever climbed a mountain with a Whitaker with two T's before?
Many times. My whole family all has two T's. But
you've never met somebody that is outside of your family with two T's yet that climbed a mountain.
It's rare. It's rare.
Well, your name in the community is huge. Ryan and I were talking about actually driving over here. They said, you got Peter Whitaker to get on a podcast of yours? And he said, yeah. So your name carries a lot in the community, but also through the entire climbing community. I'm here in Fort Worth, Texas. I walked in an REI, a 23-year-old fitted me for a backpack. I didn't know you get fitted for backpacks. And he goes, what are you doing? I was like, a Mount Rainier. He's like, oh, what other mountains have you done? I was like, none. He said, hopefully you're going with RMI. I said, I am. He said, they're the only people that are going to safely get you up and down the mountain, but you realize you still got to put in work. And so anyways, how I found out that there's a Whitaker involved in all this is Jim Whitaker. He's your uncle, is that right?
Correct.
And dude, I got to let you just say it. He was. Tell me really quickly, like who he is.
So he became the first American to climb Mount Everest. That was in 1963, and both my father and uncle, who are identical twins, grew up climbing. They actually had asthma as youngsters, and when they were 10 or 12, their doctor, physician suggested they go up, get up in the hills, get above the particulates, get above all the pollution, and that's what got them climbing in the Boy Scouts. That's where they got started.
No kidding. Well, speaking of 12, the first time you summited Rainier was at 12, right?
Yeah, 12 years old. I cried my ass off. It was tough. It hurt. It was not fun. There were tears for sure.
Well, we were all laughing because I have an idea that there's going to be 41-year-olds that are crying their asses off too. Peter, I jumped on your website last night. You guys have a phenomenal website, and it really helps you through the preparation. And this is a climb where you can't let ego get in the way. And we're at that 21-day mark where you guys are recommending, getting serious about getting your oxygen levels under control and your heart rate and things like that. And so there's this thing called the 5x3, and it's 6 degrees, 6 miles an hour. I'm not sure. You probably didn't write the site, but I don't know if you've ever done that, but I chose to do it yesterday. I made it 6 minutes in, and I threw up for the first time in all my preparation for this climb. So while I didn't cry, it took me to my knees, man. So this is a plug. If you guys are going to try and do something really hard, I'd find an expert who's already been there, whether it be in leadership, business, or in this case, climbing the mountain. And your resume is unbelievable, too. You've climbed some outstanding mountains. We don't have time to go through all of them, but what I wanted to ask you real quick was, what was one of the most memorable climbs that you did, Peter?
Well, crying. I don't think I threw up, but the 12-year-old, that sticks in my mind. That was tough. But I ran a international adventure travel company for 14 years, and we trekked, skied, and climbed the highest mountains on all 7 continents. So I stood on top of the highest peak on every continent, and I did that for about 14 years, which was pretty cool. So a lot of memories. I would have to say, my favorite mountain, I think my backyard, Rainier right here, this thing rocks. And then Kilimanjaro, East Africa is a special place too. It's the culture, the people, you go on game safari afterwards, and the mountain itself is cool as well. So a lot of good memories, a lot of good mountains, and been fortunate to stand on top of a lot of them.
That's awesome. Now you are the CEO of RMI, is that right?
That's correct.
So you have an office, and it's not at the foothills of the mountain per se, outside with guys like us who have tags still on all the new equipment that we're just bought for the climb. What does your day-to-day look like, just real quick, so that way the audience knows what your day-to-day looks
Sure. Well, I'm at what we call Rainier Base Camp, and that's 6 miles outside of Mount Rainier National Park. And we created this. It's about 30 years in the making, but it's a place to take off from. We shuttle our clients and climbers into the park. We have a specialty outdoor store here that hopefully, Robert, we get you to buy a bunch of more stuff. We have a bar and grill, 6 beers on tap, good pizza, good burger. You got to have a place to celebrate once you come off the mountain. And yeah, we've really kind of created this campus that's a perfect place to launch and come back after the climb.
I love it.
And to answer, sorry, a little more. So for me, I'm in this office. I've got a CFO, COO. He's got 3 computer screens behind me. I've got a nice small laptop here with a bunch of windows. I just stare out the window and watch everybody. He does all the work behind me.
Well, man, you are the CEO, the Chief Energy Officer. I mean, you absolutely have earned this spot. And this is another, notice to people. Like, we knew we were doing this mountain 7 months ago, and we should have booked with the Whitaker Lodge, and we didn't. And so somebody else is sleeping in my bed because we had to get an Airbnb down the street. And so, man, I got a ton of questions for you, and we're going to get there. But I want to introduce you just real quick. So Ryan is actually really close to you. Ryan, where are you out of?
I'm just outside of Auburn.
You're here. Great.
Yeah, an hour and a half or so from Ashford.
And Ryan, I can't help but think like the coolest part about it, you were cleaning out a closet or something of your grandfather's, I believe.
Yeah, no, I wish I should have gone and grabbed it. No, I've got, and I'm on the fence of whether I bring this on the trip or not with me. I've got my wife's grandfather. He summited Rainier a handful of times, and he's 89. I think he just turned 90. But I've got his old ice axe. So wood handle, like heavy as can be, whatever, 3 or 4 pound axe. That I'm like, oh, should I carry that up as a memento to kind of honor him, or should I like go and purchase the lightweight one?
Well, you have the guy that will probably tell you exactly what to do. Peter, exactly. How cute is carrying up the axe versus getting the one that makes most hits?
Well, you know what I'd do is I'd slip it into Robert's pack when he's not looking.
Just pull it out at the top and get the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, then pull it out and take all the credit.
Hey, so and we'll get into some more specifics, but we're going to be carrying some weight. And if you were to Google this, there's some conflicting information. How much weight is it really that we're carrying, Peter?
Well, I imagine you guys are on the 4-day climb. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So day 1 orientation, you're just down here, gear check, all sorts of stuff. Day 2 is a climbing school, super light pack. You're going to go up and learn everything you need to know to climb safely with a guide on the front of your rope. And then it's really day 2 and 3 where the sweat and the tears sometimes happen. And you're leaving Paradise at 5,000 feet, going up to Camp Muir to spend the night at 10,000 feet. Get up in the middle of the night. This time of year, the route's actually in really good shape right now, but we're getting up at probably 11:30 at night, climbing in darkness all the way up to the top and then all the way back off. So, and in terms of weight, and to answer your question, climbing school, your pack's light. It's going to weigh 20, 25 pounds. That's the 1-day school. The actual climb, really the day going to Camp Muir, it will be heavier than your summit day. You've got your sleeping bag, all your food, all your stuff. But honestly, it shouldn't weigh much more than 40 pounds.
Okay.
40, 45 max.
Well, hey, before I introduce you to Brad, and that's where we're training for. A couple guys want to bring some beers, some cigars, and I know some of that's off limits, so you can slap us around here in a second. But put us at Camp Muir, because that is like the halfway point. And I was actually, are you familiar with John Maxwell, the leadership guru? He's the GOAT.
No.
Okay. So I was talking to him about this climb, and there's a climb. Brad, do you remember the mountain over there? I think it's in Switzerland. Eager. Anyways,
I don't. I know the story.
Eiger, yeah. And he talks about just how the amount of people who get at this halfway house. It's a 1-day climb, and they just don't leave because they're comfortable. And Camp Muir, is this where we lose some of the people where they said this is far enough? Or talk to me about that, because I imagine some of the conversations are getting real at that point.
Well, Camp Muir is a day trip. It's a single full day up and down. And there's huts up there. People stay in tents. Your Rainier is 9 miles up, 9,000 vertical feet. And that's the halfway point on the way up. And pretty much anybody that's spending the night at Camp Muir is like going for it, and they're committed. There's capacities that are set by the National Park Service. So maximum, most popular weekend, you're going to see 125 to 150 people. We have our own hut. So that's the one good thing about the guide services. We kind of have our own space, and it's definitely not the Hilton, but in a storm, it's gold, and we stay out of that. But most people are either day hiking up to Muir and heading back down, or going up, spend the night, and get up in the middle of the night and give it a shot.
Well, yeah, I mean, so specifically, I mean, like for people who've never done anything like this, even just a day hike to get there, somebody like even me, that's going to be a reality check. And some people are going to probably be trying to talk themselves. Heck, we're not even in your state, and people are trying to make a reason for why they're not going to be able to make it. And so is there doubt sinking into certain people, and are y'all having to rally the troops? I mean, y'all are our leaders on the mountain, right? And so, or is that doesn't happen until like the suck really sinks in?
Well, the first thing you should not do is listen to what anybody has to say, because everyone will tell you the worst possible story they've ever heard about their experience on Rainier. So you got to kind of filter that stuff, and they like to mess with you, right? I mean, come on, Robert, you look like you could be the kind of guy that people like to mess with.
Actually, I'm the guy dishing it. Okay, I see. Peter, I'm kind of curious if you're going to go up there with us, and we'll see if you can out hike me, buddy. I need to bring in my big guns, Brad. So Brad has been preparing. He's never seen a leg day. He's been doing a lot of chest and arms, hoping that would help for this. No, all jokes aside, Brad. Yeah, Brad is the reason we found you, and Brad is the reason why we didn't just go straight to Everest. And the reality is, and I'm speaking very uneducated here, but the integrity of your mountain is still there. It's still true. You guys are issuing, like you mentioned, a select number of passes to keep the place clean and to allow it to be what it was intended for. And so I appreciate all of that, as well as just watching your company contribute to the community to maintain that special spiritual. I mean, we've been spending 7 months preparing for this, hoping that peace and quiet that you get to sometimes enjoy all the time. I mean, we're living in the noise, and so Brad is the reason why we're here. And Brad is. The guy that's keeping us organized with the workouts and keeping us on track when we start sending memes. Brad, I don't know what comes to mind after hearing what you have for the first 10 minutes or so.
I've done a terrible job of keeping any of this group of herding these cats to do any kind of organized workouts or anything, but I'm totally impressed that everybody's really been kicking butt. Yeah, I think it's cool. Like, Robert talking about Everest, and I know to you even more than me, and I don't know, but to you must think that is a silly. People say silly things, that don't know. And when that was mentioned, I thought, well, that's a bit ridiculous. He's going to die if he tries to do that. And but I've wanted to get a group of guys together and do things that are a struggle. I think struggling as a group is such a maybe a thing we just don't do enough as Westerners in America. Men getting together and do hard things and kind of being in the suck a little bit together. So yeah, I'm just super excited to do it. I don't let Robert oversell my ability or preparation or anything like that. I'm sure I'll struggle.
Speaking
as
of
much
preparation,
as
and I'm going to get to some questions. I mean, there's levels to this, and one of them is preparation, and as well as there's a lot of lessons in the losses. And so, like in my campsite conversations that I have and the keynotes that I do, I truly believe like how you act in the valleys will determine how high your peaks are, and vice versa. And I believe that people do have unbelievable potential, but they fall to their priorities and their preparation. And I've had to really prioritize this. Yesterday, after throwing up, I got back on there and I was like, I'm going to get this done. And it started raining, and my 2.5-year-old came outside because my treadmill's outside. That's a whole different story. And he just starts jumping in puddles. And I turned the treadmill off and said, hey, I'm going to skip the rest of this because I'm not going to miss this moment. Because ultimately, he is my priority. And he's the reason why I said what I said. With Everest is, Peter, I don't know when this airs, I'll still be going through a divorce, but there's a blind spot. I don't know what my blind spots are, but I know that with the amount of noise that's going on in our world, it's going to be hard to find it. And I have great friends like Brad and Ryan and great, I guess, cousins and uncles like you, Peter, with the last name. And so anyways, I am trying to be better, not bitter during this season I'm in. And I believe that the next peak that I get to is going to be higher because of it. But the reality is I see people who go to the gym and they think 24 hours straight of working out is going to improve muscle, and no different with your climb. And I actually was reading on the website, it said, it said something to the extent of, we'd rather you come a little underprepared than try and squeeze it all in at the end and be broken and show up. And I was just curious, like, what does true preparation look like during this process of getting to the mountain?
Shapes and forms. I'm going to say a thing or two. One is for you, Robert. Hard things are put in our way not to stop us, but to call out to our strength and courage.
Love
right?
That.
And that's one. The other one that Brad, when you were talking, how we conduct ourselves down low often is by what we learn up high.
Oh.
And that's kind of something that's been a guiding light for me throughout my life. In terms of shape, climbing seriously is 90% mental. It really is. High altitude mountaineering, you got to remember this, is long-term, low-level suffering. That's seriously what it is. And Rainier, I talked about the 2-day climb. You'll leave the Paradise parking lot at 5,000 feet. And it's really, I describe it as like a 28 to 30 hour event. And you're moving pretty much the whole time. You climb for an hour, take a 15-minute break, climb for an hour, a little something to eat, a little something to drink. And you get through Camp Muir and you'll maybe lay down, probably won't sleep, but for 2 or 3 hours, and then you're up doing it again. And it ends up parking lot to parking lot, a 28 to 30 hour event. Being in better shape always helps. If you're packing 30 or 40 extra pounds, that's like carrying 30 or 40 extra pounds in your pack. But what I love is the person who works out and just prepares and trains and lifts and is in incredible shape, and usually talks about the incredible shape that they're in more than anyone else.
You'll know who that is in our group, Peter. We're not going to call them out, but you'll know who that person is.
And they end up not summiting, and you get this 75-year-old grandmother of 4 who is tough as nails. She weighs 93 pounds, and she kicks ass. And what I'm getting to here is, physically, yeah, it's demanding. I mean, walking uphill for long periods of time is really kind of and I can say this, a stupid thing to do, but it's hard. It's type 2 fun. You enjoy it when it's over. But what I love, and I used to look at people and say, oh, he's going to make it, she'll make it, he won't make it, she will make it. And really so much of it is mental, and the ability to focus on positive mental attitude and not, I call it UMS, ugly mood swings. I mean, once you start to go negative, I can feel it on the rope. I'm tied to somebody and you hear a little, and that's just the beginning of the end. It's like staying positive. So physical conditioning definitely helps. The other thing I'd encourage you guys are 21 days out, start to taper off that last week or so. You're not really going to build much more endurance or much more strength. And the important thing is to not get hurt and even back off on the weight. It's great. You're hopefully training with a pack. It's your legs are important, but your back muscles and just, overall strength is key. But people can get fired up and think I'm going to go harder right at the end. And they end up blowing an ankle or hurting themselves before the climb.
So, Peter, let me throw one back at you real quick. I want to kind of counter what you said. Jordan Peterson said, man is made to walk uphill.
I love that. I love that. So a bunch to look at there. So when I walked into REI, I actually didn't go find the 23-year-old to fit my pack. I grabbed everything I thought I needed, and I was headed to checkout, and this 23-year-old goes, "Hey, you need some help?" I said, "No, I think I got everything." He goes, "Would you mind if I just made sure that the tags are on and everything?" He had such a nice way to say, "You have no idea what you're doing." And it was the wrong pack. I put it on, got it sized, everything like that, put the weight in, and what a difference. It almost made me think like, man, I'd been wasting months of unnecessary effort because I just didn't ask for help and or get to go with incredible guide service like you guys. We didn't hire you to guarantee to get us to the top, but we hired you to share your wisdom and expertise, so that way we can get what we really want out of it, which is the connection, the camaraderie, and so thank you for going first. And you talk about these people who sprint at the end, and that's what I do love about the physical fitness side of things. I mean, you can't cheat fitness, and so the mountain's going to call that out. But the positive mental attitude, I think, is so critical. And it's the content you consume. You mentioned earlier that if you listen to the crap that people say, you're going to start believing it. And so positive consumption, what you put in your earbuds. And we've been joking around with one another, but leadership is going to be critical now. And I'm curious, your job is to, number one, safely get us up and down the mountain, including the guide himself. What level of leadership and positivity and encouragement does your guide team have to instill? Because somebody like us, or all 9 of us, we've never done anything like this. We only know what we know.
Sure. And my pop started RMI in 1969. And since then, we've guided over 100,000 people on Mount Rainier. And so I've climbed Rainier 256 times. And after a while, you learn the most efficient and easiest way to do something. And that's really, as guides, that's what we want to do with you guys. 70% of the people that come and climb with us have never had crampons on. They've never been roped up. This is their first time mountaineering experience. And we do this for a living. We walk uphill, Brad, for a living. And it's awesome. And you know what? We know the easiest, most efficient way to walk uphill. And that's what we do with our teams. It's like we want to teach you the easiest way to climb this mountain, so you don't just get up on top and high five. You get up on top and crack a Rainier and chug it.
A crack a Rainier, is that a beer? Is that a beer?
It's a beer, sorry.
It's a local beer.
Yeah. From Auburn, Auburn will know. When you climb the mountain, you drink the beer.
Now, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Kind of speaking of this, from my understanding, I saw a video that you guys posted not long ago. One of your guides from paradise to paradise in like 3 hours or something. What is that type of like preparation take?
I mean, that guy's he's a beast.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a beast. 18 miles, 18,000 vertical feet up and down in like 3 hours. Come on.
Yeah, how does somebody prepare like that? Is that just like he's just a different animal and like, or is that just he is putting in? Yeah, what does that look like to?
We have 70 guides, and we all think he's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I mean that is intent. I talked about long-term, low-level suffering. That's what climbing. If you're going at a reasonable pace. Take that and multiply it like 50 times for 3 hours. And it's crazy. It's huge. He tried to break the record last year and almost got it, but didn't. And then this year I upped his reward for bringing it back to RMI and he got it. So it was cool.
That's awesome. That's interesting. You say long term suffering. The reality is that man, he was just efficient, so he suffered for a short period of time.
But it's back to that PMA, positive mental attitude, and ugly mood swings, and it really is. Nothing is good or bad. Just thinking it makes it so.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
And there's so much mental that goes on in mountain climbing. And people, that's probably a better read on a person's personality and how they approach things than what their physical conditioning is. In mountain climbing, we climb Rainier. For us, we're in pretty good shape. It actually feels slow. But we go, and you can go and I use the word suffer, but endure for quite a long time. We've evolved, and I think, Brad, you mentioned it, into kind of this soft species today that we don't do hard things enough. We if we're cold, we turn up a knob on the wall and it gets warmer. If we're thirsty, we go through a drive-through. When you climb Rainier, I can guarantee you're going to be cold and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. You're also going to get thirsty. You'll be more thirsty than you've been in a long time. And you know what? It's okay to be thirsty because afterwards, when you get that drink or when you take that shower, it gives you contrast for all the soft things that we take for granted.
I love it. And that's exactly why. And so we're actually not trying to race up the mountain because you would miss some of those messages. That was very impressive what that gentleman did. And I do believe in business, your intensity it will lose to consistency every day of the week. So you guys were talking about working smart up that mountain and not injuring yourself. And that's how y'all can do it time after time after time and almost predict those same results. Now, I think about like teamwork, Peter, and I mean, while we're roped together, that doesn't mean that we're pulling the weight of others. It's just simply so we don't lose somebody, I would imagine. But I mean, it at some level is going to take all of us to carry that weight in a sense. What does that look like teamwork wise? I mean, the talking is probably going to get quiet after a while, but are we switching positions or you put the leader in the front? How does that look?
So guide on 2-to-1 ratio, two climbers to one guide in the front of the row. Typically we'll take, and as a guide, even right now through this Zoom call, I have a personnel file on each of you that I'm filling up right now. When I meet you in person, when I shake your hand, if I'm going to be tied to people in dangerous places, it starts when I shake your hand. How's your grip? Do you look me in the eye? When I talk to you, do you listen? When I watch you walk across the parking lot with your hands out to the side because you got crappy balance, I'm going to be tied to you. I need to start a file on you and to identify your assets and your liabilities. And with your liabilities, help you with those so that you can become part of my team and you have a better chance of not just surviving, but also summiting.
Man, I love that. And that, like I'm the owner of my company, Magnolia Fence and Patio. And so I get to choose the people that come to my company. But the reality is we all have strengths and weaknesses. And it's our job as leaders to find their weaknesses and use our strengths to encourage them and compensate. The mental file. So here we are. We're, as we get closer to wrapping this up in a few, we've got Brad and Ryan and Robert. So whose file is the biggest already, Peter? What are you worried about?
Oh, Robert, you're way ahead, but it's your job to be way ahead. Right?
But you don't want to rope up together.
No, but here's what I would say, and I think listening to your friends here that I may be correct, but it's being open, and I love guiding children and young adults because they're still learning, they're still open. I mean, I'll bring a 40-year-old marathon runner who's in phenomenal shape, but he's used to running on level ground and has never been up to altitude before, and they're not open. They don't listen. They're like, oh, I'm in this great shape and this and that. And they end up not making the summit. having an open mind, being ready. I'm a student of life. I'm older than all you guys, but I learn something every day, and I'm open to learning, and I want to get better, and I want to be more efficient, and I have just a lust for learning. And I think if you take that to the mountain, and this is really important, the mountain doesn't give a crap about you guys at all. Seriously. Doesn't give a shit about you, me, anyone. The mountain is a level playing field. Culture, gender, economic background, all of those things that we place a lot of emphasis down here where the air is thick and so are the people. It's different. Up high, it's a perfectly flat, and it plays out between you as an individual and the mountain. And as a good guide, I'm going to keep you alive, but I'm going to let you have a relationship with the mountain and let you guys work it out and see how that goes.
Oh, I love that. And I want to touch on that, Ryan and Brad. I was just scrolling to get to my notes, and I believe success is a lousy teacher and failure creates the foundation for the future. And we just recorded something that said the lessons are in the losses. And Brad and Ryan, I know that this climb means something to you, but it means something different to each one of us. And so you mentioned the relationship to the mountain. Brad, what are you doing this mountain for? Like, what's your why? Because the how becomes easy when the why is powerful.
I just desperately want to seek out more adventure and share it with other people that I enjoy being with. So,
and that's not an either or, it's an and. You want to do it with other people.
Yeah. As much as I love to be on a mountain alone, and I think that's a special sacred time, I just want to share some hard things with some other guys and find some adventure that I think is just sometimes missing in dating. As much as business is an adventure and a grind and maybe low level suffering, perpetually. This is different, right? And a different
Ryan,
kind of reward.
So Brad's my content curator, and Ryan is the guy that produces all this stuff. Ryan, we're taking you on the mountain so we can get really badass footage. And we through all that, man, I've gotten to know you, and you're an awesome guy. But I never asked you, what is your why for getting on this mountain?
Oh, man. Kind of similar to Brad. So every year I go elk hunting in eastern Washington. I grew up hiking. I grew up in the mountains, never mountaineering. But consistently through my life, my moments of felt deep connection and peace are when I'm away from everything else, when there's no cell service, when I'm in a mountain. Really when I go on these hunting trips and I leave at 3 a.m. and I don't see anybody until 8 p.m. Just in the mountains, no nothing. And so for me, a big part of it is getting out, doing something hard, going somewhere that I believe will be probably one of the most beautiful places I've seen. Just seeing all of creation, feeling more connected to the earth, to God, to the guys in our group. I think it will be a certain an honest, no pun intended, right? A mountaintop experience. And so for me, it's about that. It's about doing something hard. It's about connecting with you guys, getting to know guys better, finding community. But really for me, it's about going and just experiencing that peace that I get whenever I'm alone in the woods.
Now, I love both of those. And Peter, you've probably heard every why around the sun, including I don't know why. Peter, I had a question earlier I didn't get a chance to ask, which is what keeps y'all doing this consistently? Because complacency sinks in, and it could be a life or death situation. And so you got to wake up every day excited about it. And I can't remember exactly who was being interviewed, but when you want to talk about an inspirational, influential leader, it's people who lead billionaires who don't need the money anymore. billionaires show up at 7 a.m. And so, Peter, I believe you're truly leading billionaires at RMI because you guys do this every day, all day, and they have to act like it's the first time on the mountain in sense of intensity, consistency, awareness. There's one small little complacency and it could be over. And so, like, what's keeping you going? What's your why? You mentioned the kids and stuff, but what keeps you and your team really fired up to continue to share the mountain?
I think if you ask all the guides, they're probably going to, there's some consistent answers, but there's going to be some differences too. For me, I love the mountains. I've climbed mountains my whole life. You know, I had a rope tied around me when I was 2 and skied and climbed and had no choice and probably was adverse to it for a while. But today, you know, at 67, I'm still doing it. And it's the mountains, you know, everything Ryan talked about, those things that happen. Watching, when you're on Rainier and the sun rises in eastern Washington, the first thing that it hits is the summit at Rainier. So if you're up there and we're at 13,000 feet, our day is longer and sweeter than everyone in the state. Because you're up there, and it's church. It is the closest I feel to whoever it is up there. And so that's one reason. But even more important than that for me is taking people and helping them have an experience that they would not be able to have without me and getting them into that area and actually watching them think they hit the wall. That's for me, the best. And being able to talk them through that. I mean, you're cheerleading. At some point, if somebody's just not going to make it, it's dangerous and you've got to turn them around. But there's a mental thing where you're like, you know what? Physically, this person has got it. They've got to just get a hold of this mental piece of it. And that, for me, is the most rewarding. Seeing a 50-year-old guy in tears on the summit because he's elated, and it's the hardest thing he will ever do in his life. I have people that come up to me 10 years, 15 years later, Peter, I lost 20 pounds for that climb and I kept it off for the last 15 years and it was a pinnacle experience and the high point of my life. And that is the reason I keep doing this.
Wow, that's good. I want to 3 real quick questions. One of them is probably going to take a little longer. The reality is weather can sink in, or some or all of the people in the group just can't get up there. And delivering that message is a talk straight experience. You have to just let them know. You can't beat around the bush. And, you know, for people like us, it's a once in a lifetime experience. Possibly we've saved up. We made that investment, bought all that extra stuff at the Whitaker place. And how do you turn people away? How do you say, guys, it's not safe? Because it's not when the blizzard's hitting us. It's you can forecast the blizzard. Or how do you turn people away when you just know physically it's not happening? Walk me through that, because that's got to be just as hard for the guide as well.
There's 2 types of people. There's the person that's realistic in the assessment of the situation and actually has a will to live. And then you've got someone with a summit at all costs type attitude who is hell bent on going to the summit, lose a few fingers, maybe die. That's the hard person. I mean, that's the person, and it's not a discussion. It's like, you've hired me to make a life and death decision. And the most important part of the journey isn't the summit. It's reuniting with your family and your friends. So it's a round trip. We're going to round trip it. And that might include the summit, but it might not. But to make that decision, most people are pretty good. And overall, people are good. They get it. It's like, whoa, let's get out of here. We're getting knocked down. The wind's blowing 60. That's an easier decision versus it's beautiful bluebird sky day. There's an avalanche hazard that's super high and the summit's right there and you're going, we're turning around. People are going, what? And you're going, hey, the key to surviving an avalanche is not getting in one.
Yeah. Well, I remember someone said, you sure you should keep going to that doctor? He's 88 and everyone in his office is super old. I said, he's really good at keeping people alive. So, Peter, you're older than me, so I'm going to trust your wisdom there. And, you know, I've read the statistic and I assume it's relatively true that about 50% of the people make it to the top. Is that a true?
You're pretty close. There's 3 guide services on Rainier, and it gets climbed about between 10 and 11,000 times a summer, or attempted, I should say. The independent climbers who go without a guide service, they're down in between probably 40 and 50%. And the guide services were up probably more at 60, 65, even in a good year, 70%. So, but we're up there every day. I mean, we are super intimate with the mountain, the route, the conditions. We have a lot of experience. So our percentage is a little bit higher.
I mean, Tiger Woods says you lose interest if you always hit hole in ones. So you don't want something that you always got 100% success on. But the reality, like you said, I'm a leadership and business coach, and I couldn't imagine in the disruption that we're in right now with AI and everything else, of not having somebody guide me through that, and I get to do that for others. And Brad, you're talking about having fellowship with friends, and that's what we do, is we guide each other through life, but we've got to be connected, and you can't pour from an empty cup. And one of the things I know, one of my greatest whys is that I want to make sure that what flows to me flows through me, and for that to happen, I have to put myself in the arena. And so I can't wait to fill my cup up and have this conversation with you. I want to. I've got one last question for you, but Brad and Ryan, if you guys each have a question, I'd love for y'all to just fire it off for Peter before we let him go. I'll finish it up and we'll get out of here.
No, Robert, I'm good. I've enjoyed getting to hear some of the wisdom. It's a shame you aren't going to be climbing with us, Peter. I would thoroughly enjoy that.
Good point. I'm on site here. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys in person.
Hey, speaking of that, I called the lodge because, the lodge said that y'all were full. And I was like, hold on. Hey, thank you for calling Whitaker Lodge. I said, yes, ma'am. This is Robert Whitaker. And I said, I'm not your boss. She goes, and I said, no, don't worry. I said, I'm the Whitaker that just assumed I could use my name to squeeze in. She goes, well, we've got 3 single beds in like kind of hostels or however it is. And I was like, well, I'm sure Andy, Mike, and Alfredo would totally share a sleeping bag, but Brad, Ryan, and I are just going to opt for an Airbnb. So, Ryan, do you have a question?
No, I think similar to Brad. Like, I appreciate you taking time to come and talk to us. It's been great kind of getting to hear some stories. And yeah, hopefully we'll have some good stories here in 21 days now, 22 days to share also.
Pretty exciting. And Peter, I figured since these guys didn't have any, do you have any questions for us, like a question for us, so that way you can fill your mental portfolio?
Yeah, no, the advice I would give you is to lean into it. Lean into it. Be ready to lean into it, but and listen and be open. And you know what? It's the journey. And hopefully we'll include the summit. Right now, the route is in really, really good shape. Ryan's in Auburn, but we had a lot of moisture this winter, and it was really warm. So below 10,000 feet, the ski areas and everything, we have very little snow. Above 10,000 feet, our upper mountain from 10 to 14 got hammered. I mean, our route, we have no ladders on the route right now, which is really unusual for this time of year. It's in really, really good shape. So if you guys don't summit, it's on you.
Well, I think you answered this. I think you answered this question, but I want to make sure I ask it again and clean it up. So, what's one piece of advice you want everyone of us to remember when things get really hard on the mountain? I think you answered it, but I just want to ask it again to make sure the audience picks up on it. Piece of advice that you want all of us to remember when things get hard.
Well, there's different. It depends on what you're talking about. Is the route hard? Is it physically hard on you personally? Is it mentally hard? You're with the best guides in the world. So your safety, and listen to them, because they may say, hey, it's unsafe. We need to turn around. You guys should turn around. But forget about that part of it. Open up to the experience. Get ready to lean into it. Suffering together, there's nothing better to bring people together to go through some suffering together. Everyone's suffering. It's cool. It's great. And you'll make lifelong friends through it. You'll remember that experience. It's just, it's unique. So just be open and enjoy every step.
I love you enjoy every step. I'm at that point where some people are obviously preparing for the worst, and I say, hey, listen, this thing's supposed to be fun at the end of the day. And so I'm glad. Well, Peter, thank you so much for jumping in on this campfire conversation. And for everybody listening, if you're looking for somebody to walk shoulder to shoulder with you through all the peaks and valleys, to share some of our experiences, or if you just want to jump on and work through something that you're fighting, we'd love to help you. Remember, if it's something you can do alone, it's too small. So we'll see y'all next time.